How goes the night? St. Giles's clock is striking 9. The weather is dull and wet, and the long lines of street lamps are blurred, as if we saw them through tears. A damp wind blows and rakes the pieman's fire out when he opens the door of his little furnace, carrying away an eddy of sparks. St. Giles's clock strikes 9. We are punctual. Where is Inspector Field? Assistant Commissioner of Police is already here, enwrapped in oilskin cloak and standing in the shadow of St. Giles's steeple. Detective Sergeant, weary of speaking French all day to foreigners unpacking at the Great Exhibition, is already here. Where is Inspector Field? Inspector Field is, tonight, the guardian genius of the British Museum. He is bringing his shrewd eye to bear on every corner of its solitary galleries before he reports all right. Suspicious of the Elgin marbles, and not to be done by cat-faced Egyptian giants with their hands upon their knees, Inspector Field, sagacious, vigilant, lamp in hand, throwing monstrous shadows on the walls and ceilings, passes through the spacious rooms. If a mummy trembled in an atom of its dusty covering, Inspector Field would say, "Come out of that, Tom Green, I know you." If the smallest ganoff about town were crouching at the bottom of a classic bath, Inspector Field would nose him with a finer scent than the ogres when adventurous Jack lay trembling in his kitchen copper. But all is quiet, and Inspector Field goes warily on, making little outward show of attending to anything in particular, just recognizing the ichthyosaurus as a familiar acquaintance, and wondering, perhaps, how the detectives did it in the days before the flood. Will Inspector Field be long about this work? He may be half an hour longer. He sends his compliments by police constable, and proposes that we meet at St. Giles's station house across the road. Good. It were as well to stand by the fire there as in the shadow of St. Giles's steeple. Anything doing here tonight? Not much. We are very quiet. A lost boy, extremely calm and small, sitting by the fire, whom we now confide to a constable to take home. For the child says that if you show him Newgate Street, he can show you where he lives. A raving drunken woman in the cells, who has screeched her voice away and has hardly power enough left to declare, even with the passionate help of her feet and arms, that she is the daughter of a British officer, and strike her blind and dead, but she'll write a letter to the Queen, but who is soothed with a drink of water. In another cell, a quiet woman with a child at her breast for begging. In another, her husband in a smock frock with a basket of watercresses. In another, pickpocket. In another, a meek, tremulous old pauper man who has been out for a holiday and has took but a little drop, but it has overcome him after so many months in the house. And that's all as yet. Presently, a sensation at the station house door. "Mr. Field, gentlemen." Inspector Field comes in, wiping his forehead, but he is of a burly figure and has come fast from the ores and metals of the deep mines of the earth, and from the parrot gods of the South Sea Islands, and from the birds and beetles of the tropics, and from the arts of Greece and Rome, and from the sculptures of Nineveh, and from the traces of an elder world when these were not. Is Rogers ready? Rogers is ready, strapped and great-coated, with a flaming eye in the middle of his waist, like a deformed cyclops. Lead on, Rogers, to Rat's Castle. How many people may there be in London who, if we had brought them deviously and blindfolded to this street, 50 paces from the station house, and within call of St. Giles's Church, would know it for a not remote part of the city in which their lives are passed? How many who, amidst this compound of sickening smells, these heaps of filth, these tumbling houses, with all their vile contents, animate and inanimate, slimily overflowing into the Black Road, would believe that they breathe this air? How much red tape may there be that could look round on the faces which now hem us in? For our appearance here has caused a rush from all points to a common centre. The lowering foreheads, the sallow cheeks, the brutal eyes, the matted hair, the infected, vermin-haunted heaps of rags. And say, I have thought of this, I have not dismissed the thing, I have neither blustered it away, nor frozen it away, nor tied it up and put it away, nor smoothly said pooh-pooh to it when it has been shown to me. This is not what Rogers wants to know, however. What Rogers wants to know is whether you will clear the way here, some of you, or whether you won't. Because if you don't do it right on end, he'll lock you up. What? You are there, are you, Bob Miles? You haven't had enough of it yet, haven't you? You want 3 months more, do you? Come away from that gentleman. What are you creeping round there for? What am I a-doing thin, Mr. Rogers? Said Bob Miles, appearing, villainous, at the end of a lane of light made by the lantern. I'll let you know pretty quick if you don't hook it. Will you hook it? A sycophantic murmur rises from the crowd. Hook it, Bob. When Mr. Rogers and Mr. Field tells you, why don't you hook it when you're told to? The most importunate of the voices strikes familiarly on Mr. Rogers' ear. He suddenly turns his lantern on the owner. What, you are there, are you, Mr. Click? You hook it too, come. What for? Said Mr. Click, discomfited. You hook it, will you? Said Mr. Rogers with stern emphasis. Both Click and Miles do hook it, without another word, or in plainer English, sneak away. Close up there, my men, says Inspector Field to 2 constables on duty who have followed. Keep together, gentlemen. We are going down here. Heads! St. Giles's Church strikes 10:30. We stoop low and creep down a precipitous flight of steps into a dark, close cellar. There is a fire. There is a long deal table. There are benches. The cellar is full of company, chiefly very young men in various conditions of dirt and raggedness. Some are eating supper. There are no girls or women present. Welcome to Rat's Castle, gentlemen, and to this company of noted thieves. Well, my lads, how are you, my lads? What have you been doing today? Here's some company come to see you, my lads. There's a plate of beefsteak, sir, for the supper of a fine young man, and there's a mouth for a steak, sir. Why, I should be too proud of such a mouth as that, if I had it myself. Stand up and show it, sir. Take off your cap. There's a fine young man for a nice little party, sir, ain't he? Inspector Field is the bustling speaker. Inspector Field's eye is the roving eye that searches every corner of the cellar as he talks. Inspector Field's hand is the well-known hand that has collared half the people here and motioned their brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, male and female friends inexorably to New South Wales. Yet Inspector Field stands in this den, the sultan of the place. Every thief here cowers before him like a schoolboy before his schoolmaster. All watch him, all answer when addressed, all laugh at his jokes, all seek to propitiate him. This cellar company alone, to say nothing of the crowd surrounding the entrance from the street above, and making the steps shine with eyes, is strong enough to murder us all, and willing enough to do it. But let Inspector Field have a mind to pick out one thief here and take him. Let him produce that ghostly truncheon from his pocket, and say with his business air, "My lad, I want you," and all Rat's Castle shall be stricken with paralysis, and not a finger move against him as he fits the handcuffs on. Where's the Earl of Warwick? Here he is, Mr. Field. Here's the Earl of Warwick, Mr. Field. Ah, there you are, my lord. Come forward. There's a chest, sir, not to have a clean shirt on, ain't it? Take your hat off, my lord. Why, I should be ashamed if I was you, and an earl too, to show myself to a gentleman with my hat on. The Earl of Warwick laughs and uncovers. All the company laugh. One pickpocket especially laughs with great enthusiasm. Oh, what a jolly game it is when Mr. Field comes down, and don't want nobody. So you are here too, are you, you tall, grey, soldierly-looking, grave man standing by the fire? Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Field. Let us see. You lived servant to a nobleman once. Yes, Mr. Field. And what is it you do now? I forget. Well, Mr. Field, I job about as all I can. I left my employment on account of delicate health. The family is still kind to me. Mr. Wicks of Piccadilly is also very kind to me when I am hard up. Likewise Mr. Nix of Oxford Street. I get a trifle from them occasionally and rub on as well as I can, Mr. Field. Mr. Field's eye rolls enjoyingly, for this man is a notorious begging letter writer. Good night, my lads. Good night, Mr. Field, and thank you, sir. Clear the street here, 500 of you. Cut it, Mrs. Stalker, none of that, we don't want you. Rogers of the Flaming Eye lead on to the tramps' lodging house. A dream of baleful faces attends to the door. Now stand back, all of you. In the rear, Detective Sergeant plants himself, composedly whistling, with his strong right arm across the narrow passage. Mrs. Stalker, I am something that need not be written here, if you won't get yourself into trouble in about half a minute if I see that face of yours again. St. Giles's church clock, striking 11, hums through our hand from the dilapidated door of a dark outhouse as we open it, and are stricken back by the pestilent breath that issues from within. Rogers to the front with the light, and let us look. 10, 20, 30, who can count them? Men, women, children, for the most part naked, heaped upon the floor like maggots in a cheese. Oh, in that dark corner yonder, does anybody lie there? Me, sir, Irish me, a widow with 6 children. And yonder? Me, sir, Irish me, with my wife and 8 poor babes. And to the left there? Me, sir, Irish me, along with 2 more Irish boys, as is me friends. And to the right there? Me, sir, and the Murphy family, numbering 5 blessed souls. And what's this, coiling now, about my foot? Another Irish me, pitifully in want of shaving, whom I have awakened from sleep. And across my other foot lies his wife, and by the shoes of Inspector Field lie their 3 eldest, and their 3 youngest are at present squeezed between the open door and the wall. And why is there no one on that little mat before the sullen fire? Because O'Donovan, with his wife and daughter, is not come in from selling lucifers. Nor on the bit of sacking in the nearest corner? Bad luck, because that Irish family is late tonight, a cadging in the streets. They are all awake now, the children excepted, and most of them sit up to stare. Wheresoever Mr. Rogers turns the flaming eye, there is a spectral figure rising, unshrouded, from a grave of rags. Who is the landlord here? I am Mr. Field, says a bundle of ribs and parchment against the wall, scratching itself. Will you spend this money fairly in the morning to buy coffee for them all? Yes, sir, I will. Oh, he'll do it, sir, he'll do it fair. He's honest, cry the spectres. And with thanks and good night, sink into their graves again. Thus we make our new Oxford streets, and our other new streets, never heeding, never asking where the wretches whom we clear out crowd. With such scenes at our doors, with all the plagues of Egypt tied up with bits of cobweb in kennels so near our homes, we timorously make our nuisance bills and boards of health non-entities, and think to keep away the wolves of crime and filth by our electioneering ducking to little vestrymen and our gentlemanly handling of red tape. Intelligence of the coffee money has got abroad, the yard is full, and Rogers of the Flaming Eye is beleaguered with entreaties to show other lodging-houses. Mine next, mine, mine! Rogers, military, obdurate, stiff-necked, immovable, replies not, but leads away, all falling back before him. Inspector Field follows. Detective Sergeant, with his barrier of arm across the little passage, deliberately waits to close the procession. He sees behind him without any effort and exceedingly disturbs one individual far in the rear by coolly calling out, "It won't do, Mr. Michael, don't try it." After council holden in the street, we enter other lodging-houses, public-houses, many lairs and holes, all noisome and offensive, none so filthy and so crowded as where Irish are. In one, the Ethiopian party are expected home presently, wherein Oxford Street, when last heard of, shall be fetched for our delight within 10 minutes. In another, one of the 2 or 3 professors who draw Napoleon Bonaparte and a couple of mackerel on the pavement, and then let the work of art out to a speculator, is refreshing after his labours. In another, the vested interest of the profitable nuisance has been in one family for 100 years, and the landlord drives in comfortably from the country to his snug little stew in town. In all, Inspector Field is received with warmth. Coiners and smashers droop before him. Pickpockets defer to him. The gentle sex, not very gentle here, smile upon him. Half-drunken hags check themselves in the midst of pots of beer or pints of gin, to drink to Mr. Field, and pressingly to ask the honour of his finishing the draught. One beldam in rusty black has such admiration for him that she runs a whole street's length to shake him by the hand, tumbling into a heap of mud by the way, and still pressing her attentions when her very form has ceased to be distinguishable through it. Before the power of the law, the power of superior sense, for common thieves are fools besides these men, and the power of a perfect mastery of their character, the garrison of Rat's Castle and the adjacent fortresses make but a skulking show indeed when reviewed by Inspector Field. St. Giles's clock says it will be midnight in half an hour, and Inspector Field says we must hurry to the Old Mint in the borough. The cab driver is low-spirited and has a solemn sense of his responsibility. "Now what's your fare, my lad?" "Oh, you know, Inspector Field, what's the good of asking me?" "Say, Parker, strapped and great-coated, and waiting in dim borough doorway by appointment to replace the trusty Rogers, whom we left deep in St. Giles's. Are you ready?" "Ready, Inspector Field, and at a motion of my wrist, behold my flaming eye." This narrow street, sir, is the chief part of the Old Mint, full of low lodging-houses, as you see by the transparent canvas lamps and blinds announcing beds for travellers. But it is greatly changed, friend Field, from my former knowledge of it. It is infinitely quieter and more subdued than when I was here last, some 7 years ago. Oh yes, Inspector Haynes, a first-rate man, is on this station now and plays the devil with them. "Well, my lads, how are you tonight, my lads? Playing cards here, eh? Who wins?" "Why, Mr. Field, I," the sulky gentleman with the damp flat side curls, rubbing my bleared eye with the end of my neckerchief, which is like a dirty eel skin, "am losing just at present, but I suppose I must take my pipe out of my mouth and be submissive to you." "I hope I see you well, Mr. Field." "Aye, all right, my lad. Deputy, who've you got upstairs? Be pleased to show the rooms." "Why, Deputy, Inspector Field can't say. He only knows that the man who takes care of the beds and lodges is always called so." "Steady, oh Deputy, with the flaring candle in the blacking bottle, for this is a slushy backyard, and the wooden staircase outside the house creaks and has holes in it. Again, in these confined, intolerable rooms, burrowed out like the holes of rats or the nests of insect vermin, but fuller of intolerable smells, are crowds of sleepers, each on his foul truckle bed, coiled up beneath a rug. "Halloa here! Come, let us see you. Show your face." Pilot Parker goes from bed to bed and turns their slumbering heads towards us, as a salesman might turn sheep. Some wake up with an execration and a threat. "What? Who spoke?" "Oh, if that's the accursed glaring eye that fixes me, go where I will, I am helpless. Here, I sit up to be looked at. Is it me you want? Not you, lie down again." And I lie down with a woeful growl. Wherever the turning lane of light becomes stationary for a moment, some sleeper appears at the end of it, submits himself to be scrutinized, and fades away into the darkness. "There should be strange dreams here, Deputy." "They sleep sound enough," says Deputy, taking the candle out of the blacking bottle, snuffing it with his fingers, throwing the snuff into the bottle, and corking it up with the candle. "That's all I know." "What is the inscription, Deputy, on all the discoloured sheets?" "A precaution against loss of linen." Deputy turns down the rug of an unoccupied bed and discloses it. "Stop thief!" To lie at night, wrapped in the legend of my slinking life. To take the cry that pursues me, waking, to my breast in sleep. To have it staring at me and clamouring for me as soon as consciousness returns. To have it for my first foot on New Year's Day, my Valentine, my birthday salute, my Christmas greeting, my parting with the old year. Stop, thief. And to know that I must be stopped, come what will. To know that I am no match for this individual energy and keenness, or this organised and steady system. Come across the street here, and entering by a little shop and yard, examine these intricate passages and doors, contrived for escape, flapping and counter-flapping, like the lids of the conjurer's boxes. But what avail they? Who gets in by a nod and shows their secret working to us? Inspector Field. Don't forget the old farmhouse, Parker. Parker is not the man to forget it. We are going there now. It is the old manor house of these parts, and stood in the country once. Then, perhaps, there was something which was not the beastly street to see from the shattered low fronts of the overhanging wooden houses we are passing under, shut up now, pasted over with bills about the literature and drama of the Mint, and mouldering away. This long paved yard was a paddock or a garden once, or a court in front of the farmhouse. Perchance with a dovecot in the centre, and fowls pecking about, with fair elm trees then, where discoloured chimney stacks and gables are now. Noisy then, with rooks, which have yielded to a different sort of rookery. It's likelier than not, Inspector Field thinks, as we turn into the common kitchen, which is in the yard, and many paces from the house. Well, my lads and lasses, how are you all? Where's Blackie, who has stood near London Bridge these 25 years with a painted skin to represent disease? Here he is, Mr. Field. How are you, Blackie? Jolly, sir. Not playing the fiddle tonight, Blackie? Not a night, sir. A sharp, smiling youth, the wit of the kitchen, interposes. He ain't musical tonight, sir. He's been giving him a moral lecture. I've been a-talking to him about his latter end, you see. A good many of these are my pupils, sir. This here young man, smoothing down the hair of one near him, reading a Sunday paper, is a pupil of mine. I'm a-teaching of him to read, sir. He's a promising cove, sir. He's a smith, he is, and gets his living by the sweat of the brow, sir. So do I myself, sir. This young woman is my sister, Mr. Field. She is getting on very well too. I've a deal of trouble with 'em, sir, but I'm richly rewarded now I see 'em all a-doing so well, and growing up so creditable. That's a great comfort, that is, ain't it, sir? In the midst of the kitchen, the whole kitchen is in ecstasies with this impromptu chaff, sits a young, modest, gentle-looking creature with a beautiful child in her lap. She seems to belong to the company, but is so strangely unlike it. She has such a pretty, quiet face and voice, and is so proud to hear the child admired. Thinks you would hardly believe that he is only 9 months old. Is she as bad as the rest, I wonder? Inspectorial experience does not engender a belief contrariwise, but prompts the answer, not a ha'porth of difference. There is a piano going in the old farmhouse as we approach. It stops. Landlady appears, has no objections, Mr. Field, to gentlemen being brought, but wishes it were at earlier hours, the lodgers complaining of ill convenience. Inspector Field is polite and soothing, knows his woman and the sex. Deputy, a girl in this case, shows the way up a heavy broad old staircase, kept very clean, into clean rooms, where many sleepers are, and where painted panels of an older time look strangely on the truckle beds. The sight of whitewash and the smell of soap, two things we seem by this time to have parted from in infancy, make the old farmhouse a phenomenon, and connect themselves with the so curiously misplaced picture of the pretty mother and child long after we have left it. Long after we have left, besides, the neighbouring nook with something of a rustic flavour in it yet, where once, beneath a low wooden colonnade still standing as of yore, the eminent Jack Sheppard condescended to regale himself, and where now 2 old bachelor brothers in broad hats, who are whispered in the Mint to have made a compact long ago that if either should ever marry, he must forfeit his share of the joint property, still keep a sequestered tavern and sit o' nights smoking pipes in the bar, among ancient bottles and glasses, as our eyes behold them. How goes the night now? St. George of Southwark answers with 12 blows upon his bell. Parker, good night, for Williams is already waiting over in the region of Ratcliffe Highway to show the houses where the sailors dance. I should like to know where Inspector Field was born. In Ratcliffe Highway, I would have answered with confidence, but for his being equally at home wherever we go. He does not trouble his head, as I do, about the river at night. He does not care for its creeping, black and silent on our right there, rushing through sluice gates, lapping at piles and posts and iron rings, hiding strange things in its mud, running away with suicides, and accidentally drowned bodies faster than midnight funerals should, and acquiring such various experience between its cradle and its grave. It has no mystery for him. Is there not the Thames Police? Accordingly, Williams leads the way. We are a little late, for some of the houses are already closing. No matter. You show us plenty. All the landlords know Inspector Field. All pass him freely and good-humouredly wheresoever he wants to go. So thoroughly are all these houses open to him and our local guide, that granting that sailors must be entertained in their own way, as I suppose they must, and have a right to be, I hardly know how such places could be better regulated. Not that I call the company very select, or the dancing very graceful, even so graceful as that of the German sugar bakers, whose assembly, by the Minories, we stop to visit. But there is watchful maintenance of order in every house, and swift expulsion where need is. Even in the midst of drunkenness, both of the lethargic kind and the lively, there is sharp landlord supervision, and pockets are in less peril than out of doors. These houses show singularly how much of the picturesque and romantic there truly is in the sailor, requiring to be especially addressed. All the songs, sung in a hailstorm of halfpence, which are pitched at the singer without the least tenderness for the time or tune, mostly from great rolls of copper carried for the purpose, and which he occasionally dodges like shot as they fly near his head, are of the sentimental sea sort. All the rooms are decorated with nautical subjects, wrecks, engagements, ships on fire, ships passing lighthouses on iron-bound coasts, ships blowing up, ships going down, ships running ashore, men lying out upon the mainyard in a gale of wind, sailors and ships in every variety of peril constitute the illustrations of fact. Nothing can be done in the fanciful way without a thumping boy upon a scaly dolphin. How goes the night now? Past 1. Black and green are waiting in Whitechapel to unveil the mysteries of Wentworth Street. Williams, the best of friends must part. Adieu. Are not black and green ready at the appointed place? Oh yes, they glide out of shadow as we stop. Imperturbable black opens the cab door. Imperturbable green takes a mental note of the driver. Both green and black then open, each his flaming eye, and marshal us the way that we are going. The lodging house we want is hidden in a maze of streets and courts. It is fast shut. We knock at the door and stand hushed, looking up for a light at one or other of the begrimed old lattice windows in its ugly front, when another constable comes up, supposes that we want to see the school. Detective Sergeant, meanwhile, has got over a rail, opened a gate, dropped down an area, overcome some other little obstacles, and tapped at a window. Now returns. The landlord will send a deputy immediately. Deputy is heard to stumble out of bed. Deputy lights a candle, draws back a bolt or two, and appears at the door. Deputy is a shivering shirt and trousers, by no means clean, a yawning face, a shock head, much confused, externally and internally. We want to look for someone. You may go up with the light, and take 'em all if you like, says Deputy, resigning it, and sitting down upon a bench in the kitchen with his 10 fingers sleepily twisting in his hair. Holla there, now then, show yourselves. That'll do. It's not you. Don't disturb yourself any more. So on through a labyrinth of airless rooms, each man responding like a wild beast to the keeper who has tamed him and who goes into his cage. What? You haven't found him then? Says Deputy when we came down. A woman, mysteriously sitting up all night in the dark by the smouldering ashes of the kitchen fire, says it's only tramps and cadgers here. It's ganoffs over the way. A man mysteriously walking about the kitchen all night in the dark bids her hold her tongue. We come out. Deputy fastens the door and goes to bed again. Black and green, you know Bark, lodging-house keeper and receiver of stolen goods? Oh yes, Inspector Field. Go to Bark's next. Bark sleeps in an inner wooden hutch near his street door. As we parley on the step with Bark's deputy, Bark growls in his bed. We enter, and Bark flies out of bed. Bark is a red villain, and a wrathful, with a sanguine throat that looks very much as if it were expressly made for hanging, as he stretches it out in pale defiance over the half-door of his hutch. Bark's parts of speech are of an awful sort, principally adjectives. I won't, says Bark, have no adjective police and adjective strangers in my adjective premises. I won't by adjective and substantive. Give me my trousers, and I'll send the whole adjective police to adjective and substantive. Give me, says Bark, my adjective trousers. I'll put an adjective knife in the whole biling of 'em. I'll punch their adjective heads. I'll rip up their adjective substantives. Give me my adjective trousers, says Bark, and I'll spile the biling of 'em. Now, Bark, what's the use of this? Here's Black and Green, Detective Sergeant and Inspector Field. You know we will come in. I know you won't, says Bark. Somebody give me my adjective trousers. Bark's trousers seem difficult to find. He calls for them as Hercules might for his club. Give me my adjective trousers, says Bark, as I'll spile the biling of 'em. Inspector Field holds that it's all one whether Bark likes the visit or don't like it. He, Inspector Field, is an inspector of the Detective Police. Detective Sergeant is Detective Sergeant. Black and Green are constables in uniform. Don't you be a fool, Bark, or you know it will be the worse for you. I don't care, says Bark. Give me my adjective trousers. At 2 o'clock in the morning, we descend into Bark's low kitchen, leaving Bark to foam at the mouth above, and imperturbable Black and Green to look at him. Bark's kitchen is crammed full of thieves, holding a conversazione there by the lamplight. It is by far the most dangerous assembly we have seen yet. Stimulated by the ravings of Bark above, their looks are sullen, but not a man speaks. We ascend again. Bark has got his trousers and is in a state of madness in the passage with his back against a door that shuts off the upper staircase. We observe, in other respects, a ferocious individuality in Bark. Instead of "Stop Thief" on his linen, he prints "Stolen from Barks." Now, Bark, we are going upstairs. No, you ain't. You refuse admission to the police, do you, Bark? Yes, I do. I refuse it to all the adjective police and to all the adjective substantives. If the adjective coves in the kitchen was men, they'd come up now and do for you. Shut me that there door, says Bark, and suddenly we are enclosed in the passage. They'd come up and do for you, cries Bark, and waits. Not a sound in the kitchen. They'd come up and do for you, cries Bark again, and waits. Not a sound in the kitchen. We are shut up, half a dozen of us, in Bark's house, in the innermost recesses of the worst part of London, in the dead of the night. The house is crammed with notorious robbers and ruffians, and not a man stirs. No, Bark. They know the weight of the law, and they know Inspector Field and Co. too well. We leave Bully Bark to subside at leisure out of his passion and his trousers, and I dare say to be inconveniently reminded of this little brush before long. Black and Green do ordinary duty here and look serious. As to White, who waits on Holborn Hill to show the courts that are eaten out of Rotten Gray's Inn Lane, where other lodging-houses are, and where, in one blind alley, the thieves' kitchen and seminary for the teaching of the art to children, is, the night has so worn away, being now almost at odds with morning which is which, that they are quiet, and no light shines through the chinks in the shutters. As undistinctive death will come here one day, sleep comes now. The wicked cease from troubling sometimes, even in this life.